Hello, everybody. It's the interview queen, Alicia Atout here, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to my interview with the Prodigy, Rok-C. Hi,
Hi,
how are you doing over there? How have you been?
I'm good. I'm doing good. And you?
I'm doing really well. I was kind of telling you before the camera started rolling. I feel like this is a long time coming, so I'm really happy to have you on.
Yeah.
Now, with the way the world is now, I know that things can get pretty boring if you don't kind of keep yourself busy. So, what are some things that you've been doing for fun just to occupy your time outside of anything wrestling related?
Um, Anytime anybody asks me that question, I'm like, what do I do? Because I usually, honestly, I just go to the gym. I go to training. But honestly, that's fun for me. So
Right.
even though it's not like outside of wrestling, it's really fun for me. So I enjoy going to the gym and training and stuff.
That's actually kind of perfect, right? The fact that you love what you get to do all the time. That's what makes it not
Yeah.
a job, right?
Yeah.
Well, something that everyone has their eyes on right now is you in the Ring of Honor World Women's Championship tournament. So, what was kind of running through your mind when you locked that down and you knew that you were 100% going to compete for the title? Because this is not a small thing and you've been crushing it.
Yeah, yeah, it's honestly very crazy to me. I've been dreaming of becoming a wrestler since I was like 10 years old.
Mhm.
I don't think I obviously like at 10 years old, I never saw myself in Ring of Honor. But like just to be in Ring of Honor, I don't know, I feel like that's like the perfect place I could be right now. I'm only 19, so like it's just
Yeah.
crazy to me that I was able to be the first match to bring back the Ring of Honor Women's Division, which was so crazy to me. And then to get the first ticket to gold, I'm like, what? Wait, me?
Oh,
Like, I still have to like process it sometimes because I still feel like that same little girl that was just like, I just want to be a wrestler. And now it's just
mhm.
like, what? Like, this is real?
It's really awesome because you often mention how 10-year-old you would be so proud of everything that you're doing now. So tell me a little bit more about 10-year-old Roxy. Were you just a super like wrestling obsessed little kid like I was? Or tell me a little bit more.
Yes, I was a little nerd. I was like obsessed with wrestling, and I always told my family, I was like, I'm gonna be a wrestler. And my mom and my stepdad were always like, okay, you're gonna be a wrestler. Like, okay, then that's what you're gonna do. I was even like looking up wrestling schools, which is how I found Booker T's. And I told my parents, I was like, oh my gosh, Booker T has a wrestling school in Houston, which was like 6 hours from where I lived. And I was like, when I turn 18, I'm gonna move to Houston and start my training to become a wrestler. And they were like, okay.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, but then things kind of they kind of like changed, and I started training at 14. Um, and then I won the Reality Wrestling Diamonds Division
Mhm.
Championship at 18, which is crazy because I didn't even think that I was going to be like training by that time. So I don't know, it's just like a lot of full circle moments that just like keep my passion sparked.
It's amazing though, because when you look back and you see how much you wanted it, and then you come to now and you kind of realize, wow, everything's really come like full circle for me, you know? Those are the
Yeah, it's
moments that,
crazy.
like you said, keep the fire ignited, keep the passion going. And you can see as you talk about it, like ROH shared that promo of you where you were just speaking from the heart, and you could really tell just how excited you were to be there. And that's what I think fans love, that's my favorite part of interviewing and getting to know people like you. It's just when someone actually loves what they do, you can feel it as they speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Well,
just
thank you.
no, of course, it makes me so happy to know that not only do you love it, but like it's so genuine. Like to me, that's what matters in people. So I love seeing that.
Thank
Um,
you.
of course, of course. You had mentioned how you started the whole journey around 14, but you started training at Booker T school around 16 years old. So I heard it's truly like a family there. So how perfect of a fit was that school for you?
It was perfect. Like I said, I was like 16 when I started taking Greyhounds to go train over there. So I was like by myself. My aunt and my uncle actually live in Houston, so I would stay
Oh,
with them,
awesome.
which is super, super grateful for them. They're also wrestling fans, so they would go and like watch my shows and whatnot. So that was cool.
Perfect.
But um, yeah, it was. I guess it was kind of like hard at first because I'm like on my own. I'm like 16 and I'm just like going to this new city and new school that I've always like dreamt of being at. But Booker and Charmel are awesome, and like I always talk about how Charmel is like such a mom. So like she was always like taking care of me and whatnot. So it was like the training is like, oh my god, like so amazing and hard at the same time there. But yeah, like just having like that family there, it helped so much, just like mentally, I guess.
Now, of course, when we started the interview, I did introduce you as the Prodigy, and apparently that's a moniker that was actually given to you by the fans. So once you were called it, did it instantly click and you had that light bulb moment thinking, okay, I have to use this going forward?
Yeah, so I was like at first I was known as like the 16-year-old sensation and then 17-year-old sensation. And then I turned 18 and I was just like, well, am I just gonna keep using my like
Yeah,
age?
and the alliteration's gone.
Right? So and then I remember I was wrestling this one show at Booker T's at Reality Wrestling, and I heard them chanting something, and I was like, what are they chanting? And then I ended up hearing that they were chanting Prodigy, and I was like, huh. And I thought about it, and I was like, I might just use that. And then it just stuck, and now it's just like it's worked, and yeah, I thank the fans.
Well, it's amazing because sometimes you will not see things in yourself that other people will. I mean, that's how the whole interview queen moniker came to me. Like, I didn't give it to myself. Fans started hashtagging it. I was like, whoa, genius. So you kind of have said before how the fans have always believed in you, almost sometimes more than you do. And I really do relate to that. Sometimes having confidence is really hard. So how do you kind of cope with that and just keeping your chin up, your head up when in times of doubt?
It is pretty hard. I think just like for anyone, especially someone that's like starting up really young in the business, because like I feel like you're still trying to like find yourself, but you're like already surrounded by all these older people, and you're like, oh, like what? But I think just remembering like why I started. Remembering how I said I bring up a lot like, oh, 10-year-old little me, just because I'm like, okay, like I remember how bad I wanted it when I was that age, and like I don't ever want to like change like my perspective on that. Like I remember how bad I wanted it, and like if I ever like kind of like shift off of like my path a little bit, I'm like, wait, like remember where you started. Like just
Yeah.
remember that little girl. Like keep
Make her
going, and
proud.
that helps me. Yeah, and it helps me so much, honestly.
I love that. Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you about today is the fact that on my show, I also interview musicians. So if you could have one artist write some entrance music for you, who would the dream be?
Ooh, that's hard. I actually used to like I'm super into like well, I'm into like every type of music. My playlist is so like like it's everything.
Awesome.
But I actually used to come out to Hailstorm when I first started.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love them
Yeah.
so much.
I used to come out to their song I See the Fire, and I Am the Fire. And I came out to the song when I was like 14, and I always thought it'd be so cool. Like I thought that that would be my song forever because I didn't know what copyright was. um, but I was like, oh my god, like it'd be so cool if they were like playing the song as it came out one day. So I don't know, maybe.
Hey, you never know. You really don't. Wrestling's
Putting
wild.
it out into the universe.
Yes, we'll have to tag them in this. But Roxy, I want to say thank you so much for coming on here. I mean, even someone who is older than you, seeing what you're doing at your age reminds me, and I'm sure you get this all the time, but really reminds me so much of me when I started at 17. So it's amazing to see you out there absolutely crushing it. And I really am cheering you on, not only in the tournament, but just going forward. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.
of course, to everyone watching, this has been Roxy. Be sure to check out aliciatout.com for more exclusive interviews and features. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.